Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of The Movie Date with Rob and Zach, a podcast for people who like movies but don't want to be smug about it. I am Rob.
And I'm Zach.
How you doing, Zach?
I'm good, man. Saw a pretty good movie the other night.
Yeah, we saw it together. Yeah, it was good.
Ready Player One.
Yeah, we saw Ready Player One. That's what this week's podcast is about. And also, not going to show our hands too early, but we created a format for the show.
A format.
Because if you were watching our other episodes and you were like, sound like these guys are just winging it every time.
Which
you
were.
You were correct, first of all. Good assessment. I'm very impressed with your abilities.
We tried to stretch our wings.
Yeah. But this, we thought it might be cool to just, bring a little organization to this in a way that still is cool and unique. But also, give it some organization for everything. So yeah.
I mean, sometimes it's hard to talk about something where, the only thing you really want to say about it is that it's just dope. And you just want to repeat that it's dope.
Well, also, whenever I'm watching a podcast as well, I just sort of get to the point where I'm like, some people can wing it, and some people can't. And some people can wing it if they have a little bit of format, and some people need all format. And I feel like we're in that middle where, we can wing it, but we need a little guiding hand to bring us...
Or can we? Maybe we don't even know the limits of our own abilities.
Well, that's what we're about to find out, Zach.
Dun, 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 dun.
This week we saw Ready Player One, new Steven Spielberg movie. It's been I've seen almost all of his movies for the most part at some point in my life. I think most people have. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I want him to go back to making, I don't want to say big movies, but sort of big, ostentatious, sort of fun-esque movies. Because the last couple movies he's done have been he did Lincoln, Bridge of Spies, The Post, all of which I hear are good.
Oscar baity movies.
Yeah, all of I like Lincoln. I'm not shitting on it, but I've been I want him to go back to making...
So you wanted Spielberg to just start, just...
blockbusters. Yeah. Getting back to making blockbusters.
Big tentpole masterpieces.
Yeah, that still have something to them, and we're going to talk about whether or not he succeeded today. But first, Ready Player One. What were your expectations going into this?
I haven't read the book, so
no, neither have I.
I don't even have. I had no basis from which to judge the movie other than what I've read about it or the marketing, whatever. So I was just aware that it was just this big splooge of pop culture and video game nonsense, set in a virtual reality kind of thing. So I was like, that's kind of cool. It seems a little too gimmicky, too Disney, if you will, too much of a kids movie or something.
Yeah, I hadn't read the book either. I know some of my friends have, and they were bananas about it. They really were hyped, and they were really nervous about this movie.
Yeah.
So I think going into this movie, my expectations were kind of...
Yeah, I knew it was something that people seemed to really care about whether or not it was done right or not.
And yeah, for sure. Going into this movie, I was at... my expectations were kind of pretty low. Because I saw the trailers, and the first trailer that came out, there was a Comic-Con one, and it had a really cool score, and I was kind of taken away by some of the visuals, but the next trailer came out, and when I kind of put them both together, I was like, I feel like this could be a Jupiter Ascending or a Speed Racer.
Yeah.
I feel like it could be a lot of flash and not a lot lot of anything there.
After you, in the trailers and stuff, after you get past the trailer park skyscrapers, I mean, it didn't really, that's the most interesting thing about it that I had gathered from all of the marketing and stuff.
Fair enough. But I was, I think we could get into, we're keeping to the format. We're not doing any spoilers till later on in the movie.
No spoilers.
But, we talked about our expectations. What did you think? Or shall I start?
I thought it was really good. I thought it was better than what I was walking into. I thought that I don't think Spielberg knocked it out of the park. And again, I'm speaking entirely from having not read the book. I'm usually a guy who's die hard, the book's better. It's but I thought it was a really at the very least a decent film. What?
I said you were supposed to ask me.
Oh, what did you think about the film, Rob?
I had a good time with this. I had a lot more fun with this than I ever thought that I kind of would going in. I thought it would be kind of like Tomb Raider. I would go out being like, it's okay. I don't love anybody in the movie. I don't hate anybody. It just distracted me. But I actually walked out thinking like, when I look at like some of the last action-y movies he's done, like, and there's only a handful. He did the BFG, the Big Friendly Giant. You know, he did Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of Crystal Skull, which most people
Didn't
hate.
he do Super 8?
No, that's J.J. Abrams, but he produces that one. A lot of people think he did that one because it feels like he's a Spielberg movie. Yeah. Which I actually don't hate that movie. It's not bad. But I think that this is probably my favorite movie from him in a good while. And it's a lot of fun, and it's also surprisingly emotional. And I even wrote that in my notes. I said it's for a movie that's about artificial reality, it has some great feels to it.
Yeah, it really does.
Yeah, I didn't get choked up, but I did get like every once in a while when you're watching a movie, like an emotional scene happens where like the acting and the writing and the score is all working together perfectly, and you get like little chills or goosebumps.
It's a fun, silly, doesn't take itself seriously at all times kind of movie.
It takes the right parts seriously.
Right, and it makes you question things and think about some things while still playing in this fun little world of a movie.
Sure, I think it's the perfect balance too. We get just enough of this is a movie. We're not getting into spoilers, but like this is a movie that takes place like this guy created this video game world called the Oasis where you can do anything. You can do horrendous death battles, and you can be any character from any pop culture thing you want. And you can go to casinos or dance clubs or whatever as anybody.
Pretty much,
I thought we had just the right amount of the video game world and the real world.
Yeah, like there was a pretty good blend and mix.
Yeah, I didn't ever get like CGI overkill, which is surprising for this movie.
Yeah, because there's a lot of CGI now, and it's really slick. It looks nice. It looks like,
and it's also bolstered. And we're getting into We'll go ahead and get into like what we like about the movie, and then we'll start getting into if there's some problems, and there are some problems that I don't like in the movie. But one of the things I think that helps the movie is it's video games for the most part, and it's also pop culture and stuff. But because of that, the CGI is allowed to look a little more otherworldly, a little more less human.
Yeah, it does. It definitely doesn't have to look photorealistic.
Yeah, it's not like a movie like Ex Machina or something where the CGI is like you're like, oh, that's a real robot lady or whatever. Like it looks weird, and I can see that being a problem for some people, but I didn't have a problem with it at all.
Like, there's even a part, this isn't really a spoiler, but there's, like, a part where, like, you got some characters' hairs all, like, flowing in the wind or whatever, and they're, like, inside, like, a still room. Yeah. You know, it's flowing hair, it's really animated like a cartoon, and then another character goes, oh, that's dumb, and just zaps the hair, and it's static.
One of the things that I liked about that as well is, like, that's like when you're playing a game like Shadow of the Colossus or something, and we're getting a little bit back into video games here, which is fine. But when you're playing like a video game and your character's just standing still, they have like little programmed animations they're asked to do. That's like
scarf
what the
moves in the wind.
Yeah, that's what the hair is.
Whatever.
That's like that. The people pick their avatars and they pick. When I'm standing still, I want my hair to be moving around.
Right. So you see like the physics engine, if you will, of the movie, like of the world they're in change constantly. That's a little touch that I liked. I also praised, and I'll talk more about this in spoilers. I think the movie has a great opening sequence. I think, which apparently you didn't like. I like the fact that they take this opening sequence, they condense it down into something real quick and real small, and they don't bore you with a bunch of exposition and details. There is exposition, but they get it out of the way, and then they do the world building by like dunking you in the pool. You know,
sure, which is better than
instead of like dipping your toes in and wading out into their world.
Because then the movie would be 4 hours long or something. But I don't know why I think I mentioned it to you. It reminds me of like the opposite of some anime shows, because I watch some anime with my cousin downstairs every once in a while, and I was watching like an interview or something with one of the creators or whatever of some animes. He's like a producer on a bunch of them, and he goes, I try to ask my, directors and producers and stuff to not do big opening sequences and end titles. What he means by that is like no Japanese pop songs to start the show and no Japanese pop songs to end the show. And he goes, why? And he goes, because it's story time. I get more time to tell as much content as possible. So when he gets rid of like that's a minute and a half at the beginning of the show and a minute at the end of the show. And it's a 22-minute episode.
Yeah.
So we're down to like 18 minutes already. So I feel like that's what we did here. Some movies have big opening sequence titles with big titles, like Guardians of the Galaxy does. But Guardians of the Galaxy does it in a way that's interesting and clever because we don't have to worry about like it's part of the movie.
Yeah, it's
like Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
The movie.
They Guardians of the Galaxy 2. They fight a giant monster while the titles are happening.
Yeah,
so it combines it with an action sequence.
It sets up the conflict.
Yeah, which I think is smart, but some movies don't do that. Some movies have like legit title sequences, and I'm like, lame. If you're gonna do a title sequence, make it part of the story, and that's basically what they kind of do here. Except there's not even really a title sequence. It's just the beginning of the movie, which I appreciated. Whatever.
Well, then if you don't like title sequences, how do you feel about like the Star Wars crawl?
I feel like that's the best way to do it.
Yeah.
For that kind of a movie, because it's just here's what's happening, and then movie start. They spend as little time as they humanly can, because like Star Wars is an exception because it's part of a franchise and each story takes place after the next one, but there's an in between period, except for The Last Jedi, which takes place right after the last movie ended.
Yeah,
because like from A New Hope to Empire Strikes Back, there's like a 3-year gap, and the same thing for most of them. So that crawl is a great way to catch you up on the gap as quick as you can. But I don't have a problem with reading or whatever. I'm talking about like when it's like a big who does opening
when it's just like landscapes, words.
Yeah, and it's just like a movie presented by Blobbity Bloop, but I'm like, I don't get to the movie.
A Bloop Bloop production.
Yeah. You know who does that better than anyone?
Costume design, Bloop Bloop.
Yeah, but like who does like great opening sequences to get the story moving? Zack Snyder. Watchmen. BVS. Like all those opening sequences are part of the movie. So like it's telling you something while being cool and artful. Like Batman v Superman opens up with Bruce Wayne's past or whatever, with a great score by Hans Zimmer and all those people as well. So like it condenses the movie down into something that's really tight, but also helps the movie and shows off some filmmaking craft, all kind of wrapped up into one.
So you thought the title sequence to Ready Player One was pretty darn cool.
Yeah, I guess I went off pretty long on that.
Was it dope, Rob?
It was dope. There's a lot of stuff that's dope in this movie.
Yeah, there is a lot of really like I thought that I would be mostly indifferent to all of the pop culture and just like nonsense that was being crammed into my eyes.
I thought it, and we'll get into that more later.
Which I kind of was, but there was like some parts where I was like, oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, because when you see something that you like, you make the exception.
Yeah,
you go like I heard people talking about like. I heard some other reviews, and like after a while, the pop culture references started to make me roll my eyes. There were a few moments where I rolled my eyes, but not much. Most of them, I think, are handled pretty well. And let's get into other stuff we like. I like the characters. I think they're all weirdly likable in a movie that's like might have like a lot of people.
Some weird Fern Gully vibes. Honestly, just like with the avatars that they're portraying in the game, how their aesthetic is and all this stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's been so long.
Is that a weird comparison to compare that to Fern? I don't know why.
I feel like it is. I haven't seen Fern Gully in a
while.
You're
drifting, Zach.
You're Robin Williams in that?
You're drifting. It's entirely unrelated.
It's all right.
Yeah, and Robin Williams is the butler character. Or the curator character.
Yeah. Not literally, but like, sadly.
In that comparison.
Yeah.
I liked the... See, I'm worried that I'm going to spoil something.
No, if you're worried you're going to spoil it, just go to something else. I have other stuff.
I liked it. It had goofy, campy villains.
Yeah, I agree.
Like T.J. Miller's character.
Who was great.
Oh,
I thought he was great. Yeah. He is virtually...
Like a World of Warcraft looking guy, just your...
I like the design of his character.
Fantasy villain.
Yeah, I like the design too. I like that he's capable of being kind of intimidating while being funny.
Yeah.
Like there's a part in the movie where he sits down. This isn't a spoiler really. He sits down across a table from people. He sits at someone else's table and he goes, "Get out," and they just get out. And I was like, "That guy's all right." I was like, he's decent enough to make me forget, like, oh, that's T.J. Miller for a second. But also, he's kind of like a weird video game troll.
He is.
He's like a life gamer who sits in his basement all the time and has amassed dozens of shit.
Which gets you in this world apparently like a Doctor Doom level of status in this game.
Yeah, he's he's
one of the elite.
Yeah, he's like a weird enforcer type guy in this world. Without getting too spoilery, I did like the bad guys as well. I feel there's a line in the movie. We'll get into this in spoilers, where the bad guy says something, and I feel like the bad guy is meant to represent people who hate video games in a weird way.
Yeah, sure.
Which I'll get to a little bit later.
See, and the movie presents us with a lot of big themes and philosophical ideas and stuff.
Sure, which you were talking about earlier.
Yeah, and I really liked those parts of the movies, and it rides this weird line where it's like on the fence of video games and pop culture and all of this fun stuff that we like is good for us and is a fun thing, and there's no harm, no foul, but
yes, also
presents us with the idea that it can go
way too far
and terribly awry.
Sure.
And leech the humanity out of us. So
it's also I
think it's a lesson in moderation.
Yeah, it's also like I didn't. I think this is on purpose. By the way, I think it's on purpose in the book too. I haven't read it. If someone can
if we can garner this, like some better understanding of what.
But I think this movie is Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Yeah, I can dig it.
Yeah, but it's with video games. And they're trying to find like a noble caretaker to oversee.
Yeah, pretty much. It really legacy. Is, isn't it?
Yeah, but I feel like it's like this movie there's references to all sorts of movies and other things, and we'll get into specifics and spoilers. But like, I feel like you can't have a movie like this and have those similarities and not have it be on purpose. Not that I'm saying like they're plagiarizing. Like I think that it's on purpose in a way that he's like. He's nodding the writer of the movie and even Spielberg are tipping their hat to it's like that kind of movie.
The force-fed nostalgia trip that it tries to take you down is actually kind of welcome once the movie's ended and done, because it made you
it reminds you of why you like these things in the first place.
And it also kind of gave me this sense of like, okay, we're done now. Like, we can move on to something else. Like, It gave me this weird sense of like the
go watch another movie.
In fact, I got the same feeling watching this movie as I did with The Last Jedi, about like its themes of like let the past die and all this stuff. Like, I kind of got a little bit of those vibes from this movie, where it was like but also maybe we can be done with fandom and all of this stuff.
Yeah, like it's weirdly that, but the opposite at the same time.
I know. And
where he's crazy. like it also says like it's okay to like things that are old and silly if someone thinks that they're lame. You can play an Atari game while someone else is playing like a big Call of Duty style Halo thing, and both understand why the other person likes it. I think that this movie is, I said in my notes, it's a celebration of video games and movies and pop culture, while also kind of being a critique.
A warning,
as being a critique of them at the same time, while having good characters and cool villains. Let's get into some of the things that we kind of took umbrage with. I'll start it off. I don't want to get too spoilery, but there are moments from the bad guys in this movie that are just completely unrealistic. And I mean unrealistic even in this weird dystopian future. That I'm just like, it doesn't make any sense how they're able to get away with some of this stuff. Is spoiler free as I can say.
Are we talking just tropes that you noticed, or just like the overall behavior of the villain?
It's a trope, but it's a badly executed trope. Like some tropes we like because they're tropes and because we expect them of the genre. Like I said when we did our sci-fi episode, I like to see crazy creatures and space battles, or like really cerebral science fiction.
So what are your good Spielberg tropes that you feel like didn't land?
Well, we'll get to that. We'll get to that later, but it's not the Spielberg tropes that don't land. The Spielberg tropes land well because his tropes are just like the tropes of good movies, I think.
Are they?
Yeah. I'll get into the specifics later. I'll tell you what I mean by that. But I think it's written in a way that the bad guys are allowed to get away with things that they should not be allowed to get away with.
Like what?
You want to go ahead and get into spoilers? Let's go ahead and get into spoilers.
Well,
Because it's hard for me to critique this without.
there's some things that I didn't like that I could say without it being a spoiler.
Yeah, go ahead, and then we'll get into spoilers.
I didn't really I'm getting, like, I noticed the Spielberg formula. Like, you know, it was pretty blatant and there.
Some of it's there.
I didn't like, it's a bit of a spoiler, but I didn't like the opening sequence as much as Rob because it had Van Halen's Jump. I was just like, I'm tired of this. Like,
Fair enough. They start the nostalgia meter on like an 8 or a 9.
Yeah,
and then slowly build it to the 11.
Blam in your face, shotgunned.
But I like Van Halen, so I can't shit on it too much.
I didn't like the cheesy love interest plotline.
I like that. I'll tell you why later.
Like, I was just like, but maybe that's because I've never really liked those. You know, I'm not the biggest rom-com fan or anything.
All you need is love thing.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah. All right. Let's go ahead and get into spoilers then. So those are our thoughts on the movie. If you haven't seen the movie, turn it off right now because we're getting into spoilers. And
Turn it off.
Yeah, we don't want to ruin it for you because I think there's a lot to like here. We don't want to ruin all the good stuff. But I'll go ahead and get into it.
If you do want to hear those juicy good bits, then
stick around.
Keep tuning in.
Yeah. But here's one of the biggest bad things I don't like. The bad guys in this movie, and I understand that this is a world where let's go ahead and get into the specifics of like what the movie's about too. A guy named Jim Halliday or John Halliday. Was it Jim? I think it's Jim.
Let's just say Halliday.
Halliday. He creates him and Simon Pegg's character, Ogmoro or whatever, Murrow, create something called the Oasis. It's like a new age virtual reality video game thing that's 10 times bigger than anything Apple ever created, and everyone's a fan of it. And it makes Halliday
servers the size of cities.
Yeah,
I'm sure
probably.
This thing takes tons of power. The whole world.
Which is another plot hole that I'll talk about later. But
like, it's pretty much its own like economy, I'm sure.
Yes, literally. It's the largest company in the world, dwarfing the size of anything we could even think of.
I liked those parts. I thought that was a really cool concept.
Yes, I don't disagree with that. It's a cool concept, but it opens up two weird plot holes that really bug me as the movie goes on. Well, one bugs me, and one I just kind of like, I don't care. But because of that, he becomes like a multi-trillionaire.
Yep.
Like the richest man in the history of the world.
This arguably autistic dude makes the programmer who makes this game.
Yeah, who I like in the movie. I think he's a good actor.
And they have like a little like Apple moment where Simon Pegg's character like splits from him or whatever.
Yes, or do they?
Dun dun dun.
Because it's revealed at the end that they didn't actually split. Yeah. He was kind of working. He kept working for Halliday, but kind of like on the down low. Yeah. Which I like. Like another Charlie in the Chocolate Factory. Slugworth is at the end, but he's actually working for Willy Wonka.
Yep.
Which I thought was very interesting. But so he's this hugely wealthy guy, and at the end of his life, he's gonna die, and he leaves an Easter egg inside the game. And the Easter egg is, to get it, you have to find these 3 keys. And each key has a clue that helps you find the next one. When you get the Easter egg, you get $500 billion, and you get the complete ownership of the Oasis. You basically become the most powerful man in the world.
Dun, 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 dun.
And because of that, obviously, and like rightly so, a bunch of companies, big companies, start like, investing in this technology and gaming so they can find the Easter eggs and make all this money. And become the most powerful companies in the world to achieve domination.
Kind of makes me think of like Bitcoin mining and stuff.
Yeah,
really what they're doing,
but way more nefarious and way more sinister.
Yeah,
and like, and I don't think that's unrealistic. I think that if this happened, that what follows would be that. And they have entire warehouses full of people hooked up to these oases, competing in these
trying
challenges.
To get these keys, and they're having like these board meetings in the movie, and they're like vying for like, when we get these keys, we'll be able to like put this much ad revenue in front of people's screens,
which is completely irrelevant, because if you make $500 billion, if you make it like that, like you've won. You don't need. There is nothing else to do after that.
It's like
keep your company going.
It's weird. It's
sell and buy back your stocks forever.
It's like Blade Runner, and the only thing to do is this video game.
Yes,
that's pretty much life for most people.
Yeah, which at first is negative, but they add some positives to it that I appreciate. But let me get to the thing that I don't like. Because of this, these companies do some really shady shit, including killing people and blowing up houses. And at the end of the movie,
terrorism.
Yeah, which there is no way they would be able to get away with.
Yeah, I thought there was some pretty violent moments.
Yeah, and the entire
In the
movie,
movie,
I'm
I was like,
going.
"Oh, wow, did
in
that
the
happen?"
entire movie, I'm going. Where's the police at? The police should be
They
all
show
over
up at like
this.
the very, very
Exactly.
end. Just like in any like
The-
Spielberg high adventure movie.
The main bad guy is a guy called Sorrento. I can't remember his name.
Not a Kia Sorrento.
Not a Kia Sorrento. But I did think of that joke too. I should have said it first. I let you have
I
it.
beat you to it.
Son of a bitch. but so at the very end of the movie,
He's no sedan.
at the very end of the movie, he's got a fucking gun on the main character
fucking
Miles,
gun.
and he's surrounded by people.
Mm-hmm.
They see him with the gun,
And no one else has a gun.
That gun has maybe 10 bullets.
No one tries to overpower him. No one tries to.
That's not even the plot hole because people don't want to get shot. If he shoots that kid and steals that $500 billion Easter egg and stuff,
then he's
you're
one of
going
the-
to jail.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
not gonna. You can't murder someone and take it and be like, "But I got it. I did it." That's not how there's witnesses everywhere. Some of them are probably live streaming with
Well,
their
maybe
Oasis
maybe
things.
that's part of it. Maybe he just lost his shit that much that he just didn't care.
Nah, I don't like that. It feels like such a plot hole that I feel like with just a little, a slight, like hand your script to somebody,
It's
and
like
let
a
them
Hans
read it.
Gruber moment, dude. Like he let the world know who he was.
I guess, but like I just feel like that if the screenwriter had just given the script give the script to anybody and they could have just read it over, like you need to find a reason why he would think he could get away with this because he doesn't, and even like he blows up Miles' parents.
Yeah,
he
and
hires
this isn't
they
in-
have their own private militarized police force with assault weapons.
Yeah,
I'm like,
and this is in the real world, not the Oasis.
yeah,
Video game.
Yeah, this is in the real. This is back in the real world where they're doing all these shady.
there are
business
consequences.
dealings. Yeah, and I'm talking about like. I'm not and these companies have gotten so big that
They're pretty much the countries. They're
yeah,
like
and
almost.
when you go into debt, the debt collection agencies are owned by these companies. They're called loyalty
Oh
centers.
yeah, I love this part.
Yeah, and when you owe them debt, they put you in a box.
You buy too many peripherals for your Oasis video game,
Or whatever.
and get into some debt. That's
or
where you
for,
go
for anything. It's,
So
not,
you
it's
start.
not just for video games. If you owe money on your house
Oh yeah,
or whatever, they can put you in these loyalty centers, put an Oasis on you, and you have to work inside the Oasis for them till you've paid them back. I believe that would happen if it was real. What I
Sure.
don't believe would happen is this company would be allowed to have its own private military force with thugs and body armor and
Why
assault
not?
weapons.
They pretty much
Because,
have a private
collect-
prison.
But collection that this is the part where I understand I have to suspend my disbelief a little bit because it is science fiction dystopia. But I'm like, would police forces, would they allow this to happen? Would law enforcement let it get to this kind of point?
Sure.
Collection agencies don't work like that. Even if there are some big ones now that are owned by big companies. But even if they got bigger, like
a debtor's
you can't
prison,
just say,
man.
you can't just say. But that's even.
They can bring debtors' prisons back, and
I don't- but I
they
don't-
do it with the Oasis.
I don't feel like that's how it works, though. You don't just say, you owe us money, we're literally kidnapping you. You give someone a subpoena, they go to court, or they choose not to go to court, in which case you send police after them and take them to court, where the judge says, you owe money,
Well,
blah, blah, blah,
maybe
blah.
in the Ready Player One world, there have been a few amendments.
Maybe they do, but they don't tell us that, which is a bad thing.
That's what
They
you're
should-
all riled up about.
A little bit. It's a
Jeez,
weird inconsistency.
calm down.
It's an inconsistency that bothers
You
me.
like Man of Steel. Just calm down about that
Man of
one
Steel is a great-
little premise of this
Man
movie.
of Steel is a great and emotional movie, and I will
I
make
didn't
no
even
apologies
think I
for
would
it.
be defending this movie. Jeez.
No, I'm not saying that it ruins the movie. Far from it. It's just it's the most unrealistic part of a movie that has people who look like orcs and superheroes and all sorts of crazy stuff. So I was like, the fact that they were able to get the video game so right, but the world so weirdly wrong. Not weirdly wrong. There's a lot of stuff in the world
I
that
think
works.
the world would turn out exactly like that. I thought it was a pretty
I
good.
don't.
I thought it was a pretty good interpretation.
I think it's almost
A
good
representation.
interpretation, but I think that has those things bother me, and just the fact that like the bad guy, for no reason, believes that he will kill this kid and take all of his money and shit and get away with it, which I was like, doesn't make any sense. Anyway,
Well, that kind of stuff always happens in the Spielberg movie, though. Like,
no, it doesn't.
yeah, it does.
No, it doesn't.
Big bad guy, has to ride it out to the very end.
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
Anyway.
man.
Anyway, here's the I like. Get back to some of the specific things that I like. Good score. Not going to say anything more about that, but I like the music in the movie.
Yeah.
Helps the emotional scenes more.
If I don't remember it and it's jingling in my head a couple days after, then it wasn't memorable for me.
Yeah.
I don't really remember it.
Fair enough. I'm not saying that it's memorable, but I think when I'm watching the movie, I was conscious of like the music is making the scene better than it might actually be. Which is why I sort of judge it. Because not every score is going to be an amazing John Williams masterpiece or whatever. So I kind of put it in that thing. Why I like the opening sequence. I already said that. Saves time. And also at the end of the opening sequence, after we're sort of dropped headfirst into this world, they give us like, here's a giant scary race which has like all these crazy racers and cool designs and has like and then we get into the first pop culture references of the movie, which is like you see during this race
drives a DeLorean.
There's a T-Rex. Was that the DeLorean? I wasn't entirely sure about that.
It was a DeLorean with like parts from Kit from Knight Rider.
Yeah, cool.
Like it had like a Knight Rider front and like
yeah, and we see like in this race it's designed, somebody unnamed figures out what the first task is to get a key, and it's a giant impossible to beat race where it's the stuff is falling from the skies and wrecking balls. There's a giant T-Rex in the middle of it from Jurassic Park.
Very end of it.
There's a King Kong, which I like that. I also like the fact that it's old King Kong.
Yeah,
like 30s
it's in
King
like
Kong?
New York, the race. Like,
or it's in a nondescript city that has an Empire State Building. But that King Kong it's not Peter Jackson King Kong. It's not New Kong Skull Island King Kong.
Black and white King Kong,
but just made to look better. Yeah, I like that, and I thought that the race is a great way to start the movie off. I think it just throws you into a cool action sequence, and it just starts off with a bang. I think just like when I'm doing it here,
it's like dun-dun-dun-dun-dun, we're a fun movie.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. When I'm recording vocals in here for a band, I always tell my singers, a good start is a good take. Get a good start, it gets the ball rolling, and it
Get
snowballs.
the motor running.
Head out on the highway. Yeah. But
that's what that scene did for you.
Yeah, well, I just think it starts off with a bang. If it's a fun movie, it's called Ready Player One. You better drop me in some video game stuff pretty damn quick. But yeah, I like that.
You think they'll come out with a sequel, Ready Player 2?
I doubt it. This feels pretty open and shut.
They should sequel it. There's
not a book sequel though.
They should bang the hell out of this franchise.
Make
it a franchise.
If they do,
franchise it.
If they do, I'd watch it. But anyway. I like how he solves the race.
Yeah.
When he figures out, like, he
why don't you just drive backwards at the beginning of the race?
Yeah, but I also like the fact that, like, in order to figure out these riddles, it's not just beating a race.
Yeah,
you have to go and, like, look into this guy's history and stuff. Which I
thought that was kind of dumb. Like, why couldn't it just be some, like, crazy good ingenuity thing? Like, you have to, like, delve into, like, this guy's backstory and hhis whole life and study everything he ever watched.
Here's why I like that. Because this guy who creates this game
thinks so highly of himself.
I don't think it's that. I think he's fanatical about video games. Mm-hmm. And because of that, he wants people like him to win. People who think outside the box and create things that are different.
Sure.
But also, the other reason I like this being the reason of how you figure out these clues is you have to go look at his life. And it's never something cool like when he's designing the game. It's like little talks that he has. And it's a great way to ground the movie and lend some emotion to this guy who actually led a very sad life.
Yeah, he wants somebody who has like a similar moral center or something like that.
And here's the thing.
With the Charlie and Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory comparison.
Because like if it's someone like T.J. Miller, who's just a troll who gathers all this stuff from beating up noobs and taking their stuff,
T.J. Miller himself.
Invincible. Yeah, probably. But he doesn't want someone like that to win because they're not winning because they're winning.
They're doing it for the lulz, not for the fellowship and the camaraderie. And
that's half of it, but they're not winning it because they're smart. Or because they think differently. They're winning it because they're good at games and they've amassed enough gear and loot boxes or whatever to make their characters
paywalls
awesome. Yeah, or they have like what it does is it prevents people who are incredibly wealthy from having an instant leg up.
Yep.
against other people. So I think it's kind of an ingenious way of making sure that people who win are, the right people. He's like Albus Dumbledore when he's trying to when you're trying to like how do you ensure
even a wizard?
How do you ensure? I love that, by the way. How do you ensure that the person who gets the Sorcerer's Stone won't use it for evil? Like, well, I set it up to where only the person that wants to get it but never use it can get the Sorcerer's Stone.
Right.
It's a great little piece, and I like each time we see him, it's the guy that I'm getting a little tongue twisted.
You feel charmed.
I don't feel charmed. I feel weirdly sad for him in a way, because he has everything that he ever. This guy is the example of like someone who played video games because he had no life, and I don't mean that in like he's inside and he's a loser.
The TV screen raised him.
Yeah, like that was his connection to things. Is like he loved video games because it made him feel like he wasn't alone, and I feel like by the end of the movie, I really felt that. Also, I like the fact that his avatar is, what's it called? Almarak, the wizard.
So it brings up the point of, like, video games are good in that, like, you can develop relationships with people and have a good fellowship and sense of camaraderie.
Sure.
And that's what he was trying to get across to people. But
yeah,
instead of just being a selfish punk who's just like, oh, my high score.
Yeah, in the near the opening of the movie, he says people do the main character says people do everything in here.
Yeah.
Like they make friends, they fall in love in here. Like there is no argument to be made that it's any worse or better than real life.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I like about it. Yeah. Let's get into, since we're on the subject, let's get into characters while we're at it. Yeah. Zach? What did you think of the main guy? Miles. I think his name's Miles.
Miles. Yeah. I thought the
characters liked
were okay. I thought that it was like a Goonies rehash sort of weird thing. Where it was like,
on purpose.
Spielberg's gonna like force some kind of like, not really force, but like do this weird like ethnicity mix up with all of his like cast of kids or whatever.
What's wrong with that?
Nothing's wrong with it. I was just like, I don't know. I feel like it felt too Spielbergian. I don't know. Like,
well, you can't harm the man for having his own style. I mean, you work long enough to create your own tropes and movies. You've kind of earned them in my opinion.
I'm on a Black Panther kick. The main character should have been a black kid.
From what I understand, in the book, the main character is like kind of fat and ugly.
See, give me a fat and ugly kid.
Yeah, but I still like the main dude doing this. I feel like he just like Halliday in this movie or Willy Wonka. I feel like he is a kindred spirit to Halliday.
Yeah,
which is why I like it. When he and let's go through the one thing I want to go through is the challenges are kind of interesting to me. The first one is the race, and he figures out that he has to go backwards because he's going through and researching this guy's life, and he finds one talk between Halliday and what's his name? Simon Pegg's character, his partner growing up.
Yeah. And
they have a big falling out where he's like, "You're forcing me out," and he's talking about like how Halliday didn't like rules. He liked, and I think it plays into the thing because he gets to a point where like, I wish that we could just go backwards and that we could just pedal to the metal back to the way things were, and that's how he figures out at the beginning of the race he's got to go backwards, which I think is cool. The second one is, what was the second one? The Shining.
He's just like the little heartfelt, little like cutesy idioms that are hidden in there.
Yeah, but like it takes an obsessive person to find those, just like it takes an obsessive person to create the biggest video game virtual reality thing. So
the second challenge is the Shining one, where that was pretty cool. So like pretty much the video game level is like the movie The Shining, and it's like done with archival footage and all this stuff. Which was
very well done.
Really bizarre, and it's pretty cool.
You've got their CGI video game characters in the Overlook Hotel or whatever.
And that one's I don't know, what was some lesson about, like, don't let go to the ones you love or
Well,
something.
after each time you get a key, you get a little scroll that has a poem that is supposed to be
gives
a
you a little
clue.
clue.
And the first one, by the way, each time you get the clue, the wizard comes. I like the design of the wizard. Because that guy would make himself the wizard, the all-knowing
Really
master of the universe. Like
Really kindly, you know.
But yeah, so he gives him the key, and it says like you have to go back to a creator who hates his own creation, a test to take the leap not taken or whatever. So like you have to find someone who hates something that they created, and the leap not taken was Halliday went on a date with a woman, but he never sealed the deal, for lack of a better word. And he took her to a movie, which was The Shining. And I actually knew this when The Shining showed up. I was like, oh, I get it. The Shining by Stephen King is one of the greatest horror novels of all time. And the movie by Stanley Kubrick, Stephen King hates it.
Yeah.
Like, he despises it.
Yeah.
I saw the TV miniseries that Stephen King helped write, and it is balls. So I'll keep the Kubrick one. Thank you, Stephen
I actually
King.
like the made-for-TV one movie better.
What?
Yeah, because it has more of what happens in the book.
Boo.
It, like, explains shit
Doesn't
better.
matter. It's not as good. The actors aren't as good. No one's as good.
I mean, I like some Nicholson, don't get me wrong. But as far as, like, being a faithful adaptation of The Shining, the book, that made-for-TV movie is better.
Maybe. I doubt it, though. I'll
Kubrick's
take better.
Kubrick shit is all just style.
I'll take better over faithfulness.
Plus, I don't really like Shelley Duvall all that much.
It's not about liking it. It's about is it better? And it's better. We're getting off topic here. Basically, they go through The Shining, and like there's zombies and
Off
crazy
topic
axes.
with Zach and yeah.
It's good that we kept that format in. So we get to the end of The Shining, and we get to the point where they are at. They find these zombies dancing because the girl asked him to dance, and he didn't.
No, I guess not.
I guess where.
And so you're
And he
supposed to
regretted
ask
that.
the girl to dance.
Yeah. So you have to.
And then she's
you have
all
to-
like, "What took you so long?"
Yeah, and you have to jump all the way through these zombies to get to the girl. You really don't seem like you're liking that part, by the way.
No, that part was lame.
I like it. What's wrong
That
with
was
it?
one of the weakest parts.
Why? You don't like the idea that the man who never had a girlfriend tried to have a girlfriend?
Well, no, I mean, like, not in the hit you in the feels department, just in, like,
I
the...
like that.
I mean, heck, as far as, like, just challenges go, like... Could have been a better challenge.
Yeah, the race is better, and the last one's better.
Like, what kind of obstacle is this? There's, like, a bunch of zombies floating around in this pit, and you gotta jump across from zombie to zombie to get to the person who's not a zombie and be like, "Hey, you wanna dance?"
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, that's such a great challenge.
Sure.
I'm just hating.
Yeah.
That's just me hating. I'm
I like
sorry,
it, though.
guys.
It seems dumber now that I think about it.
Yes, it does, doesn't it? It's stupid.
Now that I think about it afterwards. But in the movie, I did like it. And I especially like the Shining stuff where they like... It's very impressive how they put pieces of the Shining in like that. I'd love to know how they did that. But supporting characters. Let's get to that one. Then we'll go to the final.
Supporting characters were cool.
What do you think of H? I had a
Very Spielberg-y characters.
I didn't think that at all, actually.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
It was pretty much just like the Goonies and the Matrix had a baby. That was this movie. With a bunch of like millennial nostalgia trips.
All those things are things those things are things that are good. So why would I not like them?
See, I have to flip the script on myself. I have to like start like hating on it really hard because I'm afraid that I like it too much.
There's nothing wrong with liking things, Zach. No, I like
Critical eye for the movie guy.
in order of who I like most. It goes H because I thought H was funny and she brought a lot of.
Which one was the one that turned into the Gundam?
That is, I believe.
Show?
No, it's the
Show's the little one?
No, it's
The 11-year-old?
It's Daito.
Yeah, I like
Turned into
Daito.
the Gundam. Yeah.
Because Daito badass. He just sat there meditating.
Yeah.
Like Goku was something, like waiting until the last
we're talking
possible
about-
moment. And then when everybody needed him most, he turned into a fucking Gundam.
That was dope. I audibly went, dope, and when
Yeah!
that happened. Also, Mechagodzilla, I was also like, that's also dope.
Gundam fighting Mechagodzilla. What more could you ask for?
Iron Giant was also dope. I was the whole time the Iron Giant was there. I was like, dude, the big chest gun thing.
Who would win in a fight, a Gundam or the Iron Giant?
The Gundam,
Gundam.
because the Gundam fights giant robots on the reg.
Yeah.
That's what it does.
Iron Giant's just a scaredy cat.
Iron Giant's a better movie though than all the Gundam shows combined. It's way better. Teaches you that you can choose who you want to be in this life.
So Gundam fights Mechagodzilla.
Anyway, in order of how much I like them, it goes H, Artemis, Daito, Show. I'm going by their video game names. Mm-hmm. The kid was just a kid. He was there to just be the kid, so we can say, "Oh my God, they got a kid! What?" And he can do kung fu moves in the game. But other than that, I was like, I don't give a shit.
And they like tease this thing where it's like H is. This says a lot like it could be some 200-pound dude in his basement in Chicago or
yeah.
whatever.
So when we meet Artemis's character, her and Miles, known as Parzival in the game, the main character, that's his avatar's name. They hit it off, and he likes her. But H is like, you don't know who she is. She could be a 300-pound dude. And
he's like, I don't care. I love her.
And he's like, yeah, I don't care. And as soon as H said she could be a 300-pound dude in Detroit, I was like, she's not a dude. She's a woman, and she's in Detroit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
still liked her though.
But they're all in the same city. I thought that was kind of dumb. Like,
no, she's not. She's in Detroit.
What?
She comes from Detroit.
Then how do they all get into the same city? And it's even stated like, oh, well, it's convenient that we're all here. Like,
I don't even
what?
remember
That's
that.
yeah.
The only one that I remember, the only thing that I remember is like she says, "I came from Detroit," because she figured out his name because he kind of basically tells his name to other people.
Yeah, that was dumb. It's like, you never tell anyone your real name, and that's how the evil corporation finds them in the real world.
Which is the smarter thing to do is to tell everybody your name. So when you mysteriously die, they're like, "Oh, he was definitely killed by the giant shadow corporation that wants to win this more than anybody else because he found the first key." Like, that's the safer thing to do. Is like, my name is Wade, whatever, blah blah blah.
You think?
Yeah, absolutely. Are you out of your mind? That's exactly what I would address. Do. Now, I would be like, if I die, these people killed me, and it was this guy because they just made me an offer. I recorded.
But how are you going to say that if you're dead?
You record it before the stuff hits the fan. As soon as you win the key, the first thing you do is you release your identity. Because that way, if
put me in protective custody.
Well, you don't have to do that. Just buy a gun or something and release your identity. Because what's going to happen is that there's downsides to it because you become flogged by people who will try to steal your knowledge or whatever. But
yeah, all those distant relatives.
Or just anybody. Anybody's like, oh, I live up the stairs from that guy. I'm going to steal his shit. But that's not nearly as big a threat as the giant shadow corporation coming to murder you and your family. I mean, like, that's why you should release your name. You should say, like...
Drones got a whole lot scarier for me because of this movie.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I don't like drones anymore.
Yeah.
Drones is scary.
Yeah. But it gets back into my point of, like, if this is a company that has their own military police force, release your name. Because that is your shield in a way. It's like, that would be like, they can't kill you because if they do, everyone's going to know. But then again, this is a world where the bad guy can point a gun at somebody and think he's going to get away with it.
So as far as Spielberg movies go...
We haven't talked about stuff that we like more. You haven't talked about anything you like. Talk about some more shit that you like, Zach.
I did talk about the shit that I liked.
Yeah, but you didn't do it in spoilers.
I liked the fight sequences.
Let's get into that.
I like
specific action sequences.
All of the way it was shot, I guess, the filmography of it all.
Cinematography.
Yeah. That word. We're not too smug about it, but we like movies.
But we do know the terminology, cinematography.
Yes. It was all visceral, and it was like really quick and all over the place, and yeah, that was cool.
Last battle.
The last battle was pretty dope. Yeah. I mean,
all right. Before we get
okay, like I said earlier, it was less for me. The things I liked about the movie was less about like all the cool references here and there, and how it, exciting the action was, and all yada yada. What I was mostly excited for about this movie was like the way the socioeconomic statuses and stuff that it portrayed, and the debtors' prisons that it showed, and just this crazy way that a video game like that could take over the world, man, and become its own just separate reality.
Sure. I don't even disagree with any of that. I think that's one of the better. I think we're talking a lot about the video game side of things because I think the video game side is a little more fun and engaging. But
talking more like the Matrix side of it, man. Like it was kind of like kind of creepy. Like
no, I know. I'm saying like up in this review, we've talked more about what happens in the Oasis than what happens outside of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, you were talking earlier about how you think this movie parallels some other like philosophical stuff. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, like I said, like with the Matrix and stuff, it parallels Plato's allegory of the cave.
Which is, for the layman, explain.
Essentially, the allegory of the cave is you have these people chained up in a cave facing a wall. You've got a fire burning behind them. The only thing that they can see in their life are these shadows made by people standing behind them with the fire, with the light on the wall. Now, you're supposed to know that, like, you can see and smell and feel things all around you, but only ever having that sense and seeing what's straight in front of you, you know that there is something more. So it's like the guy breaks the chain, wants to walk out of the cave kind of thing. I'm not explaining it very well.
Yeah, I don't
I'm not a philosophy major or anything.
I almost fell asleep halfway through listening to you say all that. It's all right though. Any other philosophical things?
I'm not going to start a philosophically based podcast for sure.
If you ever need something to put yourself to sleep, you should
just listen to me bullshit about some bullshit.
Were there any other like philosophy things that you noticed that you liked? Moving on. I have a list of references that I have some obvious ones that I found, and I have some other
references
ones because this is a movie about pop culture and references. So if I didn't go through some of the ones that I noticed, here are the obvious ones: Jurassic Park T-Rex, King Kong, Mechagodzilla, Gundam, Terminator 2 reference when the Iron Giant dies. He does the thumbs up.
Fuck you, James Cameron.
The Terminator 2 reference. Here's some ones that people may not have noticed. When he's walking into the dance club, Deathstroke is there. One of the first people walking out as he walks in is a dude dressed up as DC superhero Deathstroke. The MacGuffin in the movie is a big magical spell that protects the bad guy from anything called the Orb of Oxivas or whatever. Was that it? Am I saying that right?
The Orb of Oxenfras.
That's correct. It can only be activated by a spell. This is a real deep one. I bet you I'm only like 1% of the viewing population who saw this movie who understood this reference. In order for that...
Rob, I'm so smart. I got this reference.
I did. I
bet you a bunch of...
I was very proud of this. In order to say it, the guy says the following words. Anal nathrak uthvas bethud dochel yegre.
Sounds like gibberish, but it means something.
Apparently, it is gibberish. But it's the charm of making from Excalibur, a movie from the 80s. About King Arthur. It's what Merlin says when he has to do any magic. That's what he says, basically.
Is it the one that Sean Connery got dipped in the Fountain of Youth for?
No.
Darn.
I don't even know what movie that is.
Sean
Indiana
Connery.
Jones and the Last
Called Sean Connery.
Sean Connery
movie.
Fountain Youth movie.
Sean Connery the movie documentary part 2.
Other probably some more obscure ones. Arkham Knight is seen a handful of times in the movie. From the Batman games. Pretty cool. Also, a lot of these are DC characters. Just I didn't even like think about this, but they are. Blue Beetle is seen in the final battle. Jaime Reyes, cool techie Blue Beetle, not the 80s one.
Saw Ryu.
Saw Ryu a bunch of times.
Who is Ryu? It's Ryu, bro.
I don't give a fuck. Master Chief from Halo.
Bunch of Master Chiefs. There were many.
There's like
chiefs.
several Master Chiefs. And also, Gundam and Godzilla. Yeah, so those are the ones that I found just right off the top of my head that I could think of. Any references that you liked that you were like, that's dope?
No. None.
Moving on.
None worth mentioning besides Gundam and versus Mechagodzilla.
Yeah,
That's still the best one.
that is pretty cool. I remember as soon as the Gundam comes down in the movie, I was like,
They mention Millennium Falcons, but I didn't get to see one.
sure. Not that it would have been that great.
There
It
weren't
would have
any,
just been like,
I didn't see any like AT-ATs or anything. Like no crazy.
yeah. I would have just been like, yawning. I'm not bored. I promise you, people. I would have been like, oh, there's the Millennium Falcon. Cool. But I've seen it a bunch of times. I've never seen a Gundam in a movie, which is cool. How come when they're using their Gundams, they have a time limit, but when the bad guy uses Mechagodzilla to fight, it's just like, I can do it forever.
Mechagodzilla was probably more powerful of an item, or something. I don't know.
Do you like the idea that, like, I think this, I
Yeah,
bet you-
like you pick up an item, you drop it, or whatever.
no, I was gonna say, do you like the idea that when you're killed, you lose everything? If you're killed in the death battles, you do.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
it is pretty cool.
It's high stakes.
So you can take anybody's shit.
And what your gore is essentially coins that you can collect from your fallen enemies.
Plus, I think you get their items
Yeah.
as well in the movie, which I thought was pretty cool.
So yeah,
Yeah,
shoot and loot.
we both actively med when he uses the unholy hand grenade.
Yeah,
Or the
'cause
holy hand grenade.
it builds up the coolness of the holy hand grenade as seen in what, like Monty Python.
I can't
Yeah,
remember.
it's like a
when
Monty.
when he wins the first key, he's given 100,000 coins. So
It's
he
a
goes,
lot of dough.
Yeah, so he goes and buys some like powerful weapons for when he needs them.
And even like a haptic feedback suit for in the real world.
Yeah, a cooler suit.
Yeah.
And when he finally uses the holy hand grenade, me and you were both like, "Oh yeah!" And then it just kind of explodes and just
It
disintegrates
vaporizes
everyone.
like a score of people, but you're just like, that should have blown up a world.
Yeah, everyone should have been like lame.
Yeah.
Well, like if you're probably in his shoes and you're trying
It's the holy hand grenade.
yeah, if you're in the middle of that battle and you're doing it, you're probably like, "Oh, that really helped me out a lot." But for the viewing public, I was kind of like a little underwhelming,
Yeah.
a little bit. Yeah.
A lot of cool power-ups, a lot of cool stuff. I want to play the game. I want to go to the Oasis. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
If they make a game like that.
It probably will. It'll probably ruin all our lives.
Come on, VR technology. Get with it.
It'll probably be like Amazon's Jeff Bezos.
I feel like what this movie is it's a question for the consumer. For the modern consumer. It's, do you want this? Are you sure? Do you guys want this? Because we might be able to do this.
I feel like
now,
you're taking it too
here's some
darkly.
things that could happen.
I feel like you're taking it too darkly. I feel like it's more just about a story about wanting to be accepted and,
Oh,
and
man.
wanting to find a place where you belong.
It's a Spielberg tentpole. It means something.
Yeah, but that's what it means, though. All of his big shiny tent poles mean that. They're all about like emotion. They're never about like. If it was about that, it would be called Minority Report, which, by the way, it is, and it's called Minority Report, which is a great movie. I'm not shitting on it. I like a lot of his movies. By the way, this might be the perfect time to segue into Spielberg movies in general and what we like about
Is this your favorite Spielberg world?
world.
Yeah.
No, there's a lot more Spielberg worlds that I like. You know, there's.
Better?
Do I think the worlds are better? Do I like them better?
Like, in terms of world
both.
building and immersion.
Yeah, but it's not his world, though. It's Ernest Cline's world, who made the book.
Fine. Does he do a good job of putting
I don't know. I've never read the book. I enjoyed this movie a lot. Before we get into Spielberg movies, would you buy this on video or see it again?
Would I buy it?
Or see it again? Would you pay to see it again or buy it?
No, I wouldn't pay to see it again.
I would.
I'd probably buy it for like a young relative, you know, in the kid area range. Kid,
I will buy.
preteen
I probably
range.
will buy this movie when it comes out.
I'd buy it as a gift for like a niece or nephew. Definitely, for sure. Because I'd want them to see it. Be like, hey, this is, slice of the pie.
Are you a guy who watches movies again? Period. Though.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
I like it enough.
Fair enough. Yeah, I think I probably will get this on Blu-ray or something when it comes
If
out.
it blows my mind.
Yeah, this didn't blow my mind, but I think that
I mean, I'm that guy who's got 2 copies of Fight Club. I mean,
two. Oh, that's
yeah.
one too many.
Really?
I guess. What's the difference in the two copies?
Nothing. They're both just regular DVD copies. I don't know where the other one came from.
Nothing. I have no idea. I don't know.
Same case and everything. Pretty sure they both came from like Target or something.
It was
I
one
don't
of
know.
those bargain bins that you just saw two Fight Clubs for $5 each, and you were like, score!
I guess, or like I had forgotten that I had already purchased the movie.
Yeah, that's, fair enough. Anyway, Spielberg movies, because this is the perfect segment.
My favorite Spielberg movie is Temple of Doom.
I think that there are... one thing I want to say is I want Spielberg to go to find a studio or whatever where he can go back to doing, I'll do one dramatic movie and then I'll do one big one like this.
One for you, one for me.
Yes. I want him to find a studio that will let him do that because I honestly think part of...
getting old, man.
Yeah, but I also think that I think that he likes doing movies like this. I think he does. Because he's done a lot of these throughout his career. And I think part of him is like, do I want to keep making movies like Lincoln and The Post, which are both good. I'm not shitting on them.
It's like he keeps asking himself, do I want to keep making movies like there's a kid inside me?
Exactly. And I think that, which leads me into the next point. I think there are two kinds of Spielberg movies. There are the serious ones where he sort of slaps you in the face with truth, a la Schindler's List, Minority Report, Saving Private Ryan, really grim ones that are just about like humanity and the human condition. And then there are the Spielberg movies which are about like
adventure,
awe and wonder.
Yeah.
Which I think this is that. It doesn't have the Spielberg feel or the Spielberg look. It doesn't have that grainy look of like Saving Private Ryan where you watch it and you're like, that looks like Steven Spielberg.
Yeah.
Because his movies for a while had a look to them that no one else's movies did. Like they looked different. Like whenever you saw a Spielberg movie, there was a tone of, literally.
I don't know about this tone, but I'll take your word for
it. Well, when I watch Saving Private Ryan and Minority Report, there's a visual quality that they share. And eventually it ended because technology changed and got different. He started using different cameras or whatever. But there was a while there where I was like, these movies all look and feel the same. For me, maybe I'm full of shit. I don't know what I'm talking about, but that's what I remember. But like movies that are full of like awe and wonder. Those are the movies like like Jurassic Park. It's like the first time you see the dinosaurs.
But even in those awe and wonder
wow.
movies, there's always like that little bit of like a cautionary tale kind of thing.
Sometimes. I mean, I'm not saying that he can't. I'm not saying they all have to be the same, but I'm saying that there are two basic kinds, and you can put. One, you can pick a movie and it'll go mostly in one category or the other. Like Schindler's List does not go in awe and wonder.
Well, whenever I walk out of like, I guess what you're calling the awe and wonder sect of Spielberg movies, I'm always going out of there where like, well, there's a lesson learned,
Sure, but it's more about the awe and wonder because it's about making movies from the point of view of kids, but then the adults see the lesson, but the kids don't. When I walked out of Jurassic Park, I wasn't like, man should not play God and make dinosaurs. I was like, man should play God and make dinosaurs
and
so that I can go see them and we can have cool action movies like this and I can go pew 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 with my toys and stuff.
Maybe you're just not one for lesson learning there, Rob.
No, because you don't. Here's the thing. When that movie is on and then Jeff Goldblum gives his speech about like life, finds a way. Like you're not paying attention during that scene.
I was.
No, you weren't.
Yeah,
you're a liar. How old were you?
I don't know.
Exactly, because you're a liar and you don't remember.
But I knew Goldblum had the juice, man.
Sure.
He had the truth. He was speaking it.
Yeah, but nobody pays attention during
pulpit
that
with a broken leg.
You doze off for about 3 minutes, and then you go to the Triceratops scene where they're looking
at the Triceratops.
Yeah.
Look at what this Triceratops ate. A bunch of green.
And here's the thing is, I'm not saying that like Spielberg can absolutely put both of those together. Minority Report is a movie that I think is the other way.
God, with the Minority Report.
What? It's a good movie.
Rob's always going on about Minority Report. I think it's like...
Did you say The Minority Report?
The Minority Report.
It's the Minority Report.
No, dude, it's the Minority Report.
It's Minority Report.
The Doherty Report.
It's none of those things.
Anyway, he's always talking about
I'm not.
Like,
I've mentioned
the best Tom Cruise movie ever. He's got like gray hair in it. It's pretty cool.
Never said any of those words. You just made it up just now. Anyway, that's a movie that's about slapping you in the face with truth. It's about fatalism.
Slapping
and it's
you
about
in the face with Cruise. I'll stop.
But it's about, you know, the idea of like pre-crime, and it's about the idea of like thought control and all these, like, you know, there's elements of authoritarianism and fascism. Those are in some of his movies.
So what about
what about
Temple of Doom? Is that awe and wonder? Is that slapping you in the face? Because I think it's slapping you in the face.
Can I finish one? It's definitely awe and wonder. Can I finish?
It's slapping you in the face with the truth that your heart can get ripped out.
But Minority Report also has, you know, like it has like crazy science fiction action sequences where he's on top of cars and stuff, and they're really cool and fun to watch and well directed and stuff. So like he has movies that do both, but they're always leaning towards one side.
And then he has movies where he can't get the animatronic to work for the whole fucking movie, so the whole fucking movie's just a bunch of lame ass boat rides.
Yeah, Jaws on wonder.
No, it's slapping you in the head with some truth. It's like, hey, watch out for sharks. It was a PSA. That's all Jaws was.
We already know that.
It was like, hey, watch out when you're swimming.
No, but it
was the longest PSA in history.
Whenever it's a monster movie, it's always awe and wonder. It's always about like it's about like something greater than yourself is out there.
Are you sure it's not like instead of shock and wonder, it's like call and take cover, but you can't take cover because it's under the water.
No, it's awe and wonder. Awe and wonder can be scary and dangerous. Like awe doesn't mean that it's makes you happy, and it's awe-inspiring. H.P. Lovecraft wrote things that were a lot of times awe-inspiring, but they're still scary. Also, that guy was a racist.
So Jaws was awesome.
I'm saying my premise is there's two kinds of Spielberg movies. I'm saying Jaws is an awe and wonder one. Jurassic Park is awe and wonder. What are some other ones? All the Indiana Jones movies.
Ready Player Awe and Wonder.
Yeah, that's awe and wonder. For sure.
We did it. We nailed it.
And the Temple of Doom movies, all the Indiana Jones movies, those are all awe and wonder. E.T., awe and wonder. Those movies are all awe and wonder. Saving Private Ryan, Schindler's List, War of the Worlds. These movies are all gritty, grim truth. Yeah. Even if they have moments that are like, wow, that's incredible. They're still...
Wait. The reboot War of the Worlds thing was Spielberg?
Yeah.
He had a bit where he liked playing with Cruise for a while, didn't he?
I think so. He had that one.
And Cruise, Be My Muse.
Minority Report, and I can't remember anything else. Yeah.
I like it when directors just like...
Close Encounters of the Third Kind, awe and wonder. It's about the majesty of coming into contact with alien life and it changing the world forever.
Yep, and it also has a really cool scene with the Simon game.
Does it?
Yeah.
It's been a while since I've seen that movie.
They communicate with the aliens through the game Simon.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
If you don't know what Simon is, look it up. Your dad probably had one when he was a kid.
Yeah. What are some dark, gritty Spielberg ones? Empire of the Sun. I think that's one of his. Young Christian Bale.
Also like a Rage Against the Machine album?
Maybe. Who knows?
I don't know.
That's awe and wonder.
We're reaching into weird territory here.
What are some of your favorite Spielberg movies?
Yeah.
What do you mean, yeah? He's like one of the greatest directors of all time. And you're like, I like this one.
I liked E.T. I liked E.T. when I was a kid.
E.T. has the best.
E.T. was good.
E.T. has the best closing score of any movie.
Yeah.
It's triumphant. Like it gives me goosebumps.
Temple of Doom, like Temple of Doom. It's my favorite Indiana Jones movie. Hate me, love me, I don't care.
I like Temple of Doom. I like it a lot. It's probably some. I
like Short Round.
Some snooty people are against it. It's not as good as the other two for me, but it is the only. Someone has said it's the only Indiana Jones movie where he impacts the plot. Mm-hmm. Because in Raiders of the Lost Ark,
if he does all the shit that happens in Raiders and that happens in the Last Crusade was gonna happen without Indiana Jones being there.
Yeah,
he's just kind of along for whatever ride. In Temple of Doom, he actually sets shit in motion and he causes the conflict to happen. Yeah,
because if he doesn't, then
and he resolves the conflict.
The stuff keeps happening.
So
yeah,
that's.
I like.
I'm glad you brought that up because that's. Yeah.
I do think, if I'm honest, I know a lot of people are going to be like, nope. Raiders of the Lost Ark might be one of, aside from Crystal Skull, which is awful. It's like one of his worst movies. I think Raiders of the Lost Ark is like my least favorite. It's cool because it's the first time we see Indiana Jones. But like all the stuff Raiders of the Lost Ark builds off of, like he's afraid of snakes. Where did he get the bullwhip from? Where did he get his hat from? All that stuff. We see that in later movies. And it's and we get it because we understand it because Raiders starts it. Last Crusade is my favorite. Because I like the father-son dynamic because we actually learn something about Indiana Jones. The other two movies, we don't learn anything about him personally, really. He's afraid of snakes. We learn that. But like we don't learn anything about his
That's what makes him so cool.
I disagree. I always like knowing more about a character, nevertheless. But we actually learn about his past. We learn like, you know, his relationship with his dad, why he went into being a relic. I was going to say a relic hunter.
A Tomb Raider.
Yeah. And I think that, you know, that's cool stuff.
Dude, Spielberg should helm like an ambitious crossover event. Indiana Jones and the Tomb Raider.
Did you know that he's already started prep for Indiana Jones 5?
God
Ken
Lord.
Jeong is playing Short Round.
Huh.
I'm not kidding. It's not a joke.
Huh.
You excited?
No.
Me neither.
No. I hope that I don't want that movie to be a thing. Why can't they just leave well enough alone?
Did you see Kingdom of the Crystal Skull?
Yeah.
What did you think of it?
Terrible. They nuked a fridge, man.
Yeah.
Spoiler.
If you haven't seen Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, and you're like, what? I was going to watch that.
More like Kingdom of the...
Very good, Zach.
Yeah.
Very articulate.
That's what we think about that movie.
Yeah. But
Steven Spielberg.
Yeah. It's pretty... It's weird that he made that movie. And when it came out, here's the crazy thing. That movie got great reviews.
Did it?
Everybody, like all the critics, they Phantom Menaced the shit out of it. They were like, it's amazing. Spielberg's done it again. And when I saw it, I was like, what is this? What are these CGI monkeys for? There is that cool scene where the guy gets killed by ants.
Yeah, that was cool.
That was pretty dope. But
then they nuked a fridge.
No, that was after they nuked the fridge. When they nuked the fridge, I was like, that's the dumbest thing ever.
There is one part of that movie I thought was cool. And that's when they go back to the warehouse. From the end of Crusade, I think.
Oh yeah, it's like near the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, so they go back to that crazy...
You see the arc and stuff.
Yeah, that crazy huge warehouse or whatever. So it's pretty much just fan servicing. This is the only part that I liked about that.
Sure. It's good fan service, though. It doesn't like beat you over the head with it. Yeah, fair enough.
I like Saving Private Ryan. It's a good movie. It's a good movie.
Saving Private Ryan was like one of the first movies I remember crying at. At the very end, it was like, tell me I'm a good man. I'd be like, yeah, you are. You just need to talk to more people about what happened to you.
The first movie I cried during was Sword in the Stone, and it wasn't even like the end of the movie or anything. It was like the beginning of
that
the movie.
Movie cracks me up to this day.
Like that opening title sequence.
That
song made me cry when I was a kid.
And when knights were brave and bold, the good king had died, and something after that. Something lame.
Memory.
Yeah.
Rob.
The Sword in the Stone. That's a good movie. I love the Merlin in that movie.
Rob moonlights as an opera singer. Check him out
I don't know about all that.
third Thursday.
No, I remember that because I like that movie a lot. It's one of those movies that's like I watched it 6 months ago with Max was watching it on TV or something.
That's my favorite Disney movie, bar none.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
But the main character is voiced by 3 different people.
Jeez.
The kid, you can tell because his voice just sounds different, and you're like, "What's going on here?"
What happened to the first and second kid?
Yeah, I like the
He got Kurt Russelled.
I love the fish part when he turns him into a fish.
I'm a fish. I'm a fish.
That's good. Merlin, I'm a fish. I like the how did we get
Archimedes, help!
Yeah, I like Merlin cracks me up. I laughed so hard during some of this from the opening of the movie where he's trying to get the chain off his foot and he's like, "Leave up, chain, leave up."
It's like the best cartoon slapstick ever.
It's
so
hilarious. Good. Yeah, it's great. How did
we
get
got
on
off on a
Steve?
weird tangent, man.
I make no apologies. I'm not editing out. I'm leaving it in.
So yeah, Ready Player Uno. Is it worth your time?
Yeah.
We think it is.
I think it's pretty damn good. I had a lot of fun with it. I would definitely watch it again. I probably will buy it on Blu-ray or something when it comes out. I'll try to look for it like in a bargain bin or something though before I do.
And if you're like me, you'll walk out of it thinking, well, that's about all we can do for fandom and nostalgia. Let's look forward to some more stuff.
Yeah.
Or as they say in the video game world, let's get some new IP.
Yeah, sure. Fair enough. All right. So next week we are going to see A Quiet Place, I believe.
Very quiet place, no talking in the theater.
A horror episode, which is good. I have some things I want to say about horror movies because I mostly don't like them.
I mostly don't either.
Mostly because I'm never afraid. Not because like I'm not. I don't turn my nose up at horror.
Yeah, like shit in horror movies startle me, like jump scares, whatever. But I'm just like, I don't care enough for the bad acting and the bad plots and then the subpar this and that.
Yeah, I get it. And like because of that, when I see a good horror movie, I'm like, people usually agree on it.
See, it's usually not horror movies that I really dig. It's like those creepy suspense thrillers.
Sure,
like something like a David Fincher movie, like fucking Seven or something. Like that's not really a horror movie. It's just like a suspense kind of thing.
Yeah, but it doesn't scare me.
Like The Sixth Sense, is that a horror movie or is it just like a suspenseful thriller?
It has two scary moments in it, but it's not a horror movie.
Yeah, it's a suspenseful thriller.
But I would say those movies don't scare me, but they are good. Seven doesn't scare me, but it's good.
Right.
That's not true. There's one part that did kind of like make my skin crawl.
When we're talking about horror movies that really bring on the horror.
Yeah. We can talk about like we can keep it exclusive, but like I do think that like just sort of like action movies can be sci-fi action movies or they can be fantasy action movies. We can talk about all that stuff. But like we can talk about like, I admire ambitious horror movies. I'm still susceptible to a good monster movie, which I'm hoping A Quiet Place is. I
don't think so. I think it's going to be one of those movies where it's like nothing happens throughout most of the movie, and then at the very like last leg in the movie, it like ramps up really frantic.
But we know there's monsters in the movie.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to see any of them until like the last third of the movie.
Maybe that's probably true. But we definitely see creatures. We see like a hand of one of them and stuff. So I was like. Here's the thing: you
see a hand in the signs too. I like Shyamalan.
Yeah,
yeah,
I like that one. That's good. Sixth Sense. That's good. Shyamalan's good. Did you ever see his? It was his most.
The most recent one, the the sequel to Unbreakable.
Split. Spoiler alert.
It's like common knowledge now.
That was pretty damn good.
I fucking love that.
I like that a lot.
I think
Unbreakable or Split?
Both. Well, actually, I had never seen Unbreakable, and I didn't even know that it was a Shyamalan movie.
Me neither.
And so, like,
I saw Split,
and then I had to go back and watch Unbreakable. It was like, oh wait, there's this thing. Samuel L. Jackson plays a what now?
And they're making a sequel to Split, like a.
I'm really looking forward to that. But yeah, A Quiet Place. John Krasinski, Emily Blunt. They're together in real life. Can they make it in The Quiet Place? We'll see.
Yeah, it's getting good reviews. So I have some high expectations for it. What about you?
I don't really care. I mean, I like Krasinski. He's good in The Office or whatever. But
he's directed some movies before this.
And also, maybe I haven't watched enough Emily Blunt movies, but
Edge of Tomorrow.
I'm not like that guy who's just all like Emily Blunt. Yeah.
Yeah, but like. She's good, though. She's good in most stuff. Edge of Tomorrow. You still need to watch that. Yeah. Here's what I do want to talk about when we do the Quiet Place episode. I want to talk about ambitious horror movies and why I think it's okay to like simpler horror movies. There is something okay about wanting to see a good monster movie because a lot of times they botch it real bad.
How do you feel about Universal's Monsterverse?
It's not even happening anymore.
Oh, is it? No.
But it was going to. It was gonna start with The Mummy.
They axed it?
Yeah, because it did okay money. It made like $400 million, but on like a budget of
to be honest, I just only wanted to see Creature from the Black Lagoon.
They need to remake that. I'd watch the shit out of that.
Isn't that what The Shape of Water pretty much was? It's like
no, it's not scary. I haven't seen it yet, but it's like.
But he's the creature from a lagoon. Isn't
he?
But
I'd watch a horror movie about a crazy amphibious fish creature, like real Lovecraftian. I'd watch that. They need to make that.
It's like shooting ink out of his eyes.
But like here's a good example of like when they bait and switch you. There was a movie called It Comes at Night. Came out last year. Mm-hmm. I really wanted to love that movie, and I walked out of it kind of ambivalent. It has some genuine moments that did scare me. That I was like, please go to the next scene. please go to the next scene. But they're very few and far in between. And the synopsis of the movie lies to you. And it makes you feel like they're a monster. When I say lies to you, I'm not like, oh, it misleads you. They literally lie.
Just slap you in the face with a big old lie.
Yeah. And it was, it's one of those movies where like you can tell the guy who made it is like, he's real creative and he's like takes it real seriously. It's shot beautifully. It's genuinely, the way it's shot makes it more unsettling, but there's just not a lot underneath it. It's just great acting, but it's not scary. There's two parts that scare me. But anyway, we'll talk more about that next week. Where can you find us? You can find us on
Podbean.com
and the free Podbean app.
Or
SoundCloud. I didn't say SoundCloud this time, which I'm very proud of.
Yeah, we're not clowning around here with our sounds.
Yeah, SoundCloud as well. Our episodes will be on there, and we will see you on another episode of The Movie Date with Rob and Zach.
Yeah. Have a good one, people, and enjoy your movies.
And do that. Go see them. Go see Ready Player One. It's pretty solid.
Worth your time.
All right, bye-bye.